is Fan Formula on the 7th of May. A week until my birthday's on the 15th, so 7-8 days until my birthday. Woohoo! Anyway, question 1. Did you take much interest in the testing at Mugello, or would you rather see developments have made when the teams bring them to Barcelona? Well, I did take some interest in what was going on at Mugello, because I heard some of it on the Flying Lap with Peter Windsor. We covered this last week, and I know last week I said I'd like to see 2 test sessions, one this sort of end of the season and one at the other end of the season. However, I do kind of see what everyone else meant, not now, maybe Silverstone area, because the cars haven't been developed, in the life cycle of the car, it's actually not been out the factory that long. I did take some interest in it, more just to see, because of my Williams fanness. I just kept an eye on it to see where they were going, because the FW34 looks like it. But as for whether I'd like to see the developments hit Barcelona, the trouble is the testing in Barcelona are too close together. Barcelona is generally when the teams roll out the big upgrade. Question 2. Do you think it was a mistake for the McLaren team to not use either Jenson Button or Lewis Hamilton over the test, especially seeing that Hamilton stated a particular need and interest to go? Yes, they were wrong to do that, because Jenson was complaining of in the last race. Jenson was complaining of bad understeer. He had a mechanical failure. He should really, he should have been there to see whether it's going to be a common occurrence with the McLaren, because he would have known what the car was feeling like before it happened. But also, they need as much time on track as well. Likewise, Lewis Hamilton, he because of his driving style, he needs more time on the Pirelli tyres to make them last. However, I do see McLaren's logic of running the test drivers, because, well, it's a test. Ergo, test drivers. And besides which, they need the drivers have the test drivers haven't driven the 2012 spec car since, well, if they got, I can't remember if they even got to go in the pre-season tests, but they need the test drivers need to have a go. So if they're called up suddenly, if midway through a weekend McLaren were like, Gary, we need you to take over Lewis's car. Gary, we need you to take over Jenson's car. Or even when it was Pedro, we need you to take over. They need time in the car to know what it feels like, how to push it, etc. So McLaren were a bit wrong to not let the drivers have a go. However, that said, it is a test drivers, and considering the lack of running the test drivers they need to be used when possible. Question 3. What do you make of Petrov's comments about the Mugello circuit, and do you agree, and why? Petrov's sort of been spoiled because he's come in the era where they've got huge runoff and mostly tarmac. I do quite like a bit of a gravel trap. However, that said, if there's been a huge off, you don't know what's happened until the dust has settled, whereas in the tarmac, if there's been a huge off, you know who's where, what's happened, if anything's happened. That said, Mugello isn't a normal Formula 1 venue anyway. I don't think it's... Ferrari might have run some Formula 1 cars around if they couldn't use Fiorano, but otherwise Mugello is not touched by Formula 1. Some of the pictures that the F1 photographers took from around it was stunning. It's gorgeous. Even on the Forza games, Forza 3 and Forza 4, even though it's computer generated, the Mugello does look quite nice. But I think it could be a brilliant place for testing. Knock off Barcelona, go to Jerez, and go to Mugello for testing is what I say. And the bonus question: do you think that because the teams use Barcelona to test, that there isn't as much excitement about the setup, as the teams are quite aware of how the car performs at that track? I do think that because they test there, yes, sometimes the cars are set up too perfectly. There's none of this, ooh, we've set it up too much for too much straight line speed, or we've put too much downforce on. However, that said, in theory, the theory is the racing should be perfect, because all the cars are on their maximum attack mode. But it doesn't work. It's like what I said in one of these a little while ago. I think we should go to Jerez instead of Valencia. The Valencia is quite difficult to say without falling asleep. I mean, I'm quite close to just falling asleep, just having said Valencia 3 times already. Say it one more time and I might, crash. The Circuit de Catalunya, it's, I don't know, it just looks like someone designed it with a compass and a ruler, to be honest. The theory of the track is great, but I don't know. Something about it just doesn't work. I'm not sure what it is, just something about it doesn't work. Anyway, that's the end of the fan formula. Let's quickly move on to some Storm Space Productions stuff. Keep putting out videos every week. Some of them get viewed, some don't get any views at all. That said, if I'd used YouTube, maybe if I'd used YouTube instead of Blip.tv, I'd have more views, but I'd made more money off Blip so far, even though it's only about 30 cents. We're still looking for one more female voice actress for one of the parts. If you want to get involved, go tweet at CWhite909999. No, I can't remember how many eyes I've said. And tweet at StormSpaceProd, and we'll get in contact with you about it. And the website's slowly being put together. I'm asking a buddy of mine to help me do it because I struggle with HTML coding, but he should be able to do it. And yeah, see you next week for the next week's fan formula thing. Ciao.